Hey everyone, I'm Zenith Priest, and welcome to one of my alternate strategies for Bringer of Dreams and Nightmares, where I'd like to explore the bottom track, taking the long walk to 3-card plays, while focusing on the middle growth options and leaning on our control and defense traits. Aside from the obvious drawback of not revealing anything extra on your growth tracks for the first 2 turns, Spirits May Yet Dream will likely be locked until then, and our ability to cover larger areas of the island will be limited. What we get in exchange for our perseverance is an extended hand, a well-rounded suite of minor powers, and a consistent accrual of fear. Let's jump right into a game and see how this plays out. Turn 1, our first move will be gaining a minor power, looking for a good mix of our elements. Dahan-centric powers like Bat Scout or Call of the Dahan Ways pair really nicely with Dreams of the Dahan when utilizing its movement. Conversely, Dahan movement powers like Bird's Cry Warning or Veil the Night's Hunt allow us to more readily use the fear aspect for Dreams of the Dahan. Fear cards are always a good default, especially when combined with defense or control, such as Dark and Tangled Woods, Delusions of Danger, or Here There Be Monsters. Even simple control cards like Enticing Splendor and Entrancing Apparitions can be useful, helping keep the island under control while continuing to add fear with Night Terrors. Keeping this in mind, let's see what we get. While cheaper than Predatory Nightmares, Drought doesn't have any of our elements, so most of the time we'll end up passing. Enticing Splendor can be useful as I mentioned, but Quicken the Earth's Struggles has a high defense and pairs a Moon and Claw over the single element from Enticing Splendor. Uncanny Melting provides a Moon, but only conditionally provides fear, making this an easy pass. Right now, our only defense option is Dreadful Apparitions, so grabbing that extra defense should prove useful. With a new power in hand, we turn to Presence Placement. This strategy works best when we can get presence at one of the initial explorers that's adjacent to the starting town. If this isn't the case, or if our power choices aren't leaving us very confident, we can always bail here and place presence from the top track instead. For card plays, Dreams of the Dahan and Predatory Nightmares is usually a solid opener. The D-board is unique in that we have the option turn 1 to gain a fear card with Dreams of the Dahan and Night Terrors, but typically we'll gather Dahan into the land that's going to build and only gain fear with the Night Terrors. There aren't any explorers to retreat, so the invaders build in the wetlands and proceed into the jungles. On the slow phase, we cause Predatory Nightmares in a lone town, pushing it into our land about to ravage. The Dahan could be pushed into the wetlands to clear it, but placing them in the jungles instead gives us opportunities to clear it with the next fear card. Turn 2, we'll need to defend the land we've loaded up with Dreadful Apparitions, Call on Midnight Streams, and Night Terrors. Whether we choose another power or reclaim a card depends on how we're set up and what we're facing. Generally, a new power and the versatility of presence placement will be the way to go, so if you're unsure, take the third option. Here is no exception, and we gain a new minor power, looking to round out our elements based on what we got last time. Call to Migrate has our secondary elements along with strong Dahan movement. Delusions of Danger has Moon and Air while giving us the option of controlling an explorer or adding fear. Reaching Grasp only has air and doesn't really provide an effect we're looking for. Voracious Growth is much like Drought as a cheaper Predatory Nightmares without our elements, so we'll pass here for the same reasons. I think either Call or Delusions would be a fine choice, but since we're leaning on the Dahan a bit more than a standard build, let's take Call and bank it along with our other pick for next turn. Presence placement should be towards expanding again, giving us a couple options for a Sacred Site next turn. Since we know we'll be able to defend the coastal jungles, let's set up there. Playing our remaining unique powers, we'll continue the line we set up last turn and use everything in our ravaging land. With luck, the fear card we just earned will do something about the problems we haven't been able to address. The Dahan we pushed into the jungles last turn does help out and raids the explorer there, helping isolate the island. We trigger Terror level 2 on the Dahan counterattack, and after the invaders build, we'll only have one extra explorer to worry about in the mountain. This turn is where we'll open up 3-card plays and gain access to Spirit May Yet Dream if we picked the right minor powers. Here, I tend to lean towards reclaiming Dreams of the Dahan for its versatility and 0 cost, and setting up a Sacred Site as central as I can. Playing our hand, we proceed. Technically, we should take a peek at Spirits May Yet Dream before we finalize any plans, and there is a chance that if we revealed a fear card that allowed us to gather some Dahan into the jungles for us, we could eke out another fear card with Dreams of the Dahan. I decided not to because we have the jungle under control, and I'd rather have extra fear cards next turn to help clean up our blockers, the wetland town and the town that we'll build in the mountains. So instead, let's look at next turn's fear card. Fear of the Unseen may be a little tricky to actively use this game, as our need to reclaim keeps us from adding presence. Tall Tales of Savagery will work in our favor, taking care of the mountain problem. And after we clear the jungles, the invaders try to move back in, and we can decide where we want to relocate the Dahan. Moving the Dahan into Land 3 allows a significant fear boost with Dreams of the Dahan next turn, and adds to the chance the fear cards will take care of the town if we don't hit Terror level 3. As an aside, I should have moved the Dahan from Land 6, but this will work as well. Turn 4 will usually be our first reclaim, and would gain us another power. However, our conditions changed when the Mountain Explorer was removed, preventing it from building. Now the coastal town is our only blocker, and we saw the answer when we peeked at the fear deck. So instead, we can choose any of the last two options to place our presence accordingly. With a quick glance at what we would have gotten with a reclaim, we take Elemental Boon and proceed to victory. Let's take a look at another example. We start this game with the initial town exploring. Just like last time though, we want the third growth option to gain a minor power. Dark and Tangled Woods looks good right away, being a fear and defense card, and a quick glance at the other powers confirms it. Without this option, I'd lean towards Devouring Ants, since it at least has claws, and we should be able to take out a town with it at some point. Since we'll need to put presence in Land 6 eventually, let's place it there now and play our standard opening. Gather Dahan into Land 6 for later, and add some Night Terrors. After the invaders do their thing, induce Predatory Nightmares in Land 1, pushing the town into the mountain, the Dahan into Land 6, and gaining our first fear card. Turn 2, we continue to gain powers, and our attention is immediately drawn to enhancing apparitions. Since we're already committed to defending the wetlands, we won't be able to use it this turn, but it'll still come in handy. Without this option, either Call to Bloodshed or Gift of Constancy would work, depending on which way you wanted to go. Either way, a presence can go in the lower jungle, since we know we'll be able to defend it, extending our reach to the coasts. Our plays are already mapped out for us, as we'll need our remaining unique powers to defend the wetlands. Using them gains another fear card, increasing our chances of addressing at least one of the jungle problems. Retreat does in fact solve one, pushing the upper jungle out. And Emigration Accelerates destroys the only coastal explorer. The wetland counterattack triggers Terror level 2, and after building in the center jungle, our next set of problems will be in the mountain. As before, we'll reclaim Dreams of the Dahan and finish our sacred site in Land 4. Playing our hand, let's proceed. Spirit's Mayet Dream gives us our first glimpse of the fear deck. I still prefer looking at next turn's fear card, giving us more time to consider and plan. Dahan on their guard gives us extra defense and lands with Dahan, which could prove useful with the Mountain Ravage. Our element pick is irrelevant at the moment, since we don't have any thresholds to hit, or events we want to prepare for. Continuing with our plays, Entrancing Apparitions stops Land 7 from building, and the rest sets up to defend Land 4. Plus Night Terrors, of course. Dahan Raid will clear the upper wetland, and the Dahan counterattack clears the jungle and earns another fear card. After building a town in the coastal mountains, we get a lone explorer heading back into the jungles. This turn, we'll reclaim like normal, gaining another minor power. Delusions of Danger is promising, with a couple elements plus a control or fear option, and we've already seen Quicken the Earth's Struggle prove useful last game. The other two are both less than ideal, so we'll pick Delusions. Because we haven't gained any extra energy, we're still in economy mode, but there's lots we can do. Keeping in mind the revealed fear card, we can select Dreams of the Dahan to get them in place, and pile on our defense powers. Spirits May Yet Dream reveals overseas trade seems safer, giving us extra defense in the coastals next turn. With that in mind, we continue as planned. On the counterattack, we earn the fear card we just saw, leaving us one card shy of a Terror 3 victory. At turn 5, we now have the freedom to continue building along a couple different lines. With the board as locked down as ours, we could continue the slow route along the bottom, opening up a wild element in a couple turns while continuing to gain minor powers, or we could start using the last growth option and switch to the top track, looking for a major power next turn. Let's take that option this time, and even though we won't need all of it, it's worth noting that playing our fast powers can generate up to 8 fear, which we could also use as defense if necessary. With Dreams of the Dahan instead of Delusions of Danger, we could have 9 fear if we were set up right, or still have 6 fear as defense and the ability for a more effective counterattack. This was an option turn 4 on the reclaim, but knowledge of the fear card pushed us in a different direction. At the time this was published, I haven't tried the strategy with any adversaries or scenarios, but I suspect faster setups like Brandenburg Prussia or Blitz may be problematic, but I also think we could handle most others, at least at lower difficulties. Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you've tried the strategy before, I'd love to hear about where it worked and where it didn't. Alright everyone, that's all I've got this time. Hope you gained some insight, and good luck in your next games.